There's only two roles, right? Top line revenue, drive it, or increase bottom line EBITDA. That's it. There's no any way you scratch the surface. Those are the two jobs you have, right? The decision actually doesn't sit with the CIO or the CTO or the VP of IT. The decision, the AI decision, the AI isn't a technology enabler, right? It's not a network. It's not a OS. It's not a device, right? So you have to think of it that way. The decision sits on the business owners, right? So people who subscribe, they would get the database of all this math and science and school stuff. And now kids can just ask ChatGPT, and the Chug company just got wiped out literally by AI.
Yeah.
Right? So they weren't ready. They weren't planning. It's funny because I'm in rooms now, and they're like, "Oh, we don't use ChatGPT." I'm like, "Huh?" Like that's mind-boggling. But I'm in a different world, right?
Yeah,
and they're in a different world.
Yeah.
And these are guys who are doing millions of dollars of revenue, right?
Salim,
what's up, man?
It's nice to have you. I think when I thought, okay, let's do something, a podcast a little bit differently, I thought, okay, whom I can invite? Then I came, you know what, who's talking very like naturally and no friction, right? Okay, it should be Salim. So they asked, thank you for joining.
Oh, my pleasure, man. Yeah, talking seems to be my thing lately.
Absolutely, I can see that. So Salim, I think first I want to introduce you as like, you've been in an industry, in IT, enterprise IT for like 15 plus years. And last year you took a big decision and you started your own startup, Utilitize.
Oh, good, man. I get it.
Yeah. So I think it should be an amazing journey. And when I started my journey, I think when I looked in who's around Houston that I can get advice, I think you kind of all over the place. And I thought, okay, let's text him. Let's just send a message and see how you respond. I think I got immediate response. That shows, I think, you've been in the industry a long time and you are willing to help, willing to give whatever you know for the founders, right? So thanks for doing that. So tell me about you. Like, I think you have a wonderful story and your enterprise and how you started and your founder journey. That's the most fascinating one I have seen.
No, and I appreciate that. And I think, to your point about like, founders and stuff like that. Look, the reality is that I have this audience now, and I have people, and we people can reach out easily in this new world, right? But everything I learned isn't from what I learned, right? Like somebody, picked up the phone, calls me. Even now, I have calls with people that are just there to help me, right? So if I could do the same for somebody else and put it in the future, just pass it down. That's the goal, right? Like, hey, look, I've learned it. Let me share it with somebody else. So they can be better versions of themselves and better versions of me. But no, I appreciate you having me on. I always, I'll tell a story, right? So people always ask, like, where your career started, where this started. I have a good mentor. He always tells me that your story starts at 0 to 16.
0 to 16.
Yeah, he says 0 to 20, but I call it 0 to 16. Okay. But he says 0 to 20. So when I was 16, we have a very active nonprofit religious community. So I got appointed as a youth and sports board member, and we had no idea what we were doing in 16. And a few guys of us decided that, hey, the best thing to do is to do a sports league. A sports league, basketball league. So no idea what we're doing. We get referees, we set up teams, we get people to register, get them to pay. There's 4 of us guys that's trying to just do this thing in San Antonio. I was living in Corpus Christi at the time, but somehow we just figured it out. And those 3 guys are still really good friends of mine. We've been to each other's weddings. We hang out every year. But then that same sports league has now become an international tournament, international festivals, and it's kind of just evolved. And if you ever want to look it up now, it's called the Global Encounters Festival. It was called the Youth Sports Board tournaments before. But that's where I really say I started my career, right? In an ability to go deliver something that I had no idea it does. And we've taken that, and when I joined, which was eNet/Computex back in the days, about 15 years ago, the founder there, Faisal, he was like, hey, you're good at, I was in .com, he was like, hey, you're good at marketing, you're good at, doing delivery digitally, like, help me do this here. We're a $20 million shop, but we don't do any marketing. I was like, look, I don't know anything about tech. So he was like, go sell it. And I did. I went out and I would go sell the solutions, the IT solutions to the clients and businesses. And there's still customers there today that I sold to back then. But then we, really quickly, we sold to private equity and we just grew. And when we IPO'd, I didn't know what that meant, right? When we IPO'd, we were like, hey, you now have a different board to address to. And I remember specifically the board, I was in a board call, and the board member was like, 1 + 1 = 3. And I'm like, no, it doesn't. And he was like, yes, it does, go figure it out. So I did. I went to MBA school. I did my executive MBA at A&M and learned how capital markets work and how evaluations work. And that's kind of the story of how I ended up at Utilitize is one day it just came across, and we'll talk about the story a little bit.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's my history in IT.
Yeah, I think that I can really see in you, like you are a marketer, right? You can sell things, and I'm willing to learn on that, because something from IT side for a long, like 10, 15 years, that is something I'm lacking. And when I became a founder, that's the most important thing, how you can sell. So definitely, I will have a lot to learn from you. So tell me, what triggered you to start your own, and what problem you've seen that, okay, I have to solve this problem, and what triggered you to become a founder?
2 years ago, 3 years ago, if you asked me, hey, Salim, you're going to go start something or go start something, people have asked back then. And I was like, no, it's not me. I'm the guy that can take your idea and I can 10x it, but can I go build something out of nothing and go out there? A couple years ago, when we had sold the company, I was still there. The idea really started over dinner. So this is when AI was getting on, kind of booming. ChatGPT had just taken off. Me and my wife had a double date, and me and the husband are talking about how AI is growing and all the cool things that are happening in the cloud and infrastructure. And his wife stops us, and she's like, that's great, but my laptop still doesn't work. And I'm like, that's valid. I'm like, yeah, right, because 40% of our business at Computex was managed services. It was maybe other people outsourcing their IT to us. That's what managed services is. And we had the same 10,000 tickets that came through the door. Same repetitive issues. I'm like, and there's automation, but there's nobody actually fixing the problem, right? It's just a workaround or a workflow. I'm like, what happens if we just made IT just work? So reverse engineering that, I ended up learning, and I went, just how I do. I just figured things out. I deep dived into coding. I deep dived into AI. I knew the core fundamentals of how technology worked, because outside of marketing, I also was the VP of Technology Alliances. So I sat in the rooms with Cisco and Microsoft and Aruba and VMware and Nutanix, and I understand how technology should work. So we reverse engineered the model and said, hey, what happens if we made it work? Can we detect the issues? Can we troubleshoot it? Can we resolve it? And somehow it just worked. And I'm like, huh. So then I went to a friend. Well, I first vetted it a little bit, then I went to a friend. And I'm like, hey, I've got this dumb idea. Like, I don't know what to do with it. He's like, dude, you help others build a company, go build your own, and I'll write you a check. If money's a problem, I'll be the investor, right? And he backed it. He was one of my first check writers. But then, I took that conversation. I went to my wife and I'm like, hey, this just happened. I didn't take the check at that time. I was like, let me go think through this. He's like, that just happened. And then she's like, well, you have other people that have always said that. Go ask them, see what happens. And well enough, people said, yeah, we'll support you.
What is the hardest conversation, like talking to your investors or talking to your wife?
My wife. Oh my God, my wife. Investors, I don't know. Like they're used to they're used to making risk, right? Because they're all entrepreneurs, they're investors. Like that's their job.
Yeah.
But tell my wife you're gonna leave a 6-figure job, and saying, hey, we're gonna go try doing this, and I'm super blessed for her, because she said no. Let's be real. Like first a couple times she said no, this was a dumb idea. She still thinks it's a dumb idea now, because now we're in the midst of the startup, right? And she's the moment was that she realized, like, I was spending nights trying to build this thing. I was talking to people. I was spending a lot of money. We spent, before the investors' checks came, I probably had spent tens of thousands of dollars already on engineering build and all that stuff, and hiring some engineers and stuff like that, like just to play the tool and see how we could scale this and consulting fees. And then finally she was like, look, you've got people that back you. These are all close. Like everybody that said they'd back, she knew. And she knew them extremely well. And then she's like, look, like you're diving into this obsession, and if you don't do it, then you're going to regret it. So just go do it, and we will figure out the rest.
Absolutely.
And look, we had a little bit of comfort, right? We had exits, we had shares vested and stuff like that. So we were okay. There was a plan, but still was like, hey, I'm not getting an income for a while.
Excellent. I think last time I met you, the one advice you gave me, dude, take care of your health. Stress,
is important.
right? I
Health
think
is bad.
That's how that time I was going in the period that I quit last March, and we were building, and we were kind of in a tight budget time-wise and trying to get the MVP out. I was stressed, right? I was like, dude, I mean, this is hard, right? And once I met you that day, like, you talk a lot about mental health and your stress level. Then I went home and discussed with my wife, you know, you're right. I mean, I can't do this. If I do like this, I'll burn out.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Then what I did, actually, I took a little bit measures. Okay, you know what? I have to take care of myself if I'm in this for a long run. Right? So I completely changed different things. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome, man.
Yeah, so that's why I really feel like when I talk to founder like you are in the grind, and you are ahead of me, right?
I don't know about that part, but it's all perception.
Yeah, so that's really helped me as well. So tell me about like you in the enterprise world as a VP, all right? It's a totally different when you go to the founder journey, right? Explain me your founder journey. I think you start, like you said, you start from scratch, from zero, and you build something, and you have the customers, and you're going in a funding round. Give me that journey that from that to today.
Look, I think it's, and don't take one version of it any differently, because I've seen others that go from 0 to 100. We're still trying to build 0 to 1. I still say we're 0 to 1 still. It's a world where you have nothing and you're just trying to figure it out as you go, right? Like I knew fundamentally a few things. There's a few videos you can find of mine online that talk about it. But first was building foundation. Like, hey, what do I need? Where do I need to go? And a lot of it is just moving. Keep moving, right? Keep moving. The second, and again, not every day is a busy day, right? Some days you're going to work extremely long, and some days you're going to sit there and you're going to be like, I don't know what to do next because there's so much going on, right? So then you just have to take a moment and just pause and say, okay, what's next? Let's go write things down. Let's go prioritize. So what we decided is that we were going to build first. We wanted to build a solution that was intelligence, which was IPable, which was patentable. We weren't going to build a wrapper. We were going to build something very new age software based, right? So, and there's a couple Forbes articles now about the software that we built. And the idea was to build intelligence around the software so that it could be scalable. There were fundamental things that, so if you even go talk to my team, our core values are make it work, make it make sense, and make it flow. That's it, right? Not really something to do with technology. These are fundamental principles that we wanted to make sure that happened, and we were at the end user side, right? Our goal was like, hey, there's fundamentally things wrong with B2B software. So how do we build that experience? We built it in the software, we built it in the UX, we built it in the customer experience. Like we have a 10-page deck on how we onboard customers from the moment they say yes to the moment that it's 60 days out, right? Like once they've already onboarded and 60 days later, what happens and ongoing stuff, right? We have a whole deck for that. So we built a year. So we took a year to build. We had a soft commit of a customer early on in December. We said, hey, this will be the first customer. And then we used that customer to launch in January. Healthy Plate Solutions was that first customer. And again, he was a friend that said, hey, look, we'll happily let you try this in our environment. We need something like this. And then one led to another. We just made phone calls. And the product has to be, when you build a product, you have to, like the domain knowledge is important and trust is important, right? So when I go call people, like even yesterday I was at dinner and I'm sitting next to a lawyer and he was like, oh, you're in IT and you talk about cybersecurity. Like, here's the issues that I have. Oh, I was like, here's my IT health check. Go do that tomorrow. And then when the report comes, I'll take a look at it, right? And then I'll call you, right? But these are fun, like the moment you can understand that you're solving a problem that has a desire and a need, then it's easier to build something towards that and then get the customer on board, right? Because then I can say, hey, look, I think you need this. And then identifying that ICP, right? Problems that we learned at the beginning were a lot, and we still learn a problem. Like product market fit is hard.
Yeah.
Like it is hard. because you'll learn very fast that what works for one customer doesn't work for the next.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think this is the best segue we have. What is utilitize, and what do you mean, like, for anyone hearing this for the first time, self-healing IT, right? Explain me, like, that's your kind of the trademark, right? Yeah. So explain me what it is and how you kind of bring that self-healing IT to enterprise.
So self-healing IT is, if you look at any issue, password lockouts, memories, software, any of those issues, the problem today is it has to be user-generated or user-watched, right? So the problem is that an issue happens and somebody has to notice, right? Oh, that server is down. That security flaw happened, right? Now their security is getting better at the self-healing portion, but the self-healing is the system identifying the problem itself and then resolving it, right? So our definition of self-healing is detect, troubleshoot, resolve, verify. The verify is important because it can't just deploy the fix. Remember, this is software. So it's got to go back and verify. And if it doesn't verify, then we escalate it to human and say, hey, go take a look at this, right? But that's what self-healing IT is. It's the ability to actually detect the issue and then resolve it without getting humans intervened, right? And look, there's guardrails, there's processes, there's some part of it that's intelligence, there's agentic AI in this space, but there's also automation, there's traditional software coding in this. So it's a huge intelligent software model. But that's what self-healing IT is. And what utilitize is think of it as a agentic AI help desk. There's we have a system. The system is called Donna. The engine, we call her Donna. Dynamic Operations Network Navigation AI, Donna.
Oh, wow, that's great.
She does actions, right? So she'll tell you things like, hey, you're locked out of your system. Can I go reset it for you? Validate your ID. Hey, you've been locked. Your Outlook crashed. It's a cache issue. Let me go reset the cache and do this. Or you can just ask her, hey, I need to onboard a new user. Can you set them up? And they will set up security policies. They'll set up everything you need to do. And then I can also tell them, hey, Salim left. There you go, just offboard him. It revokes all accesses, revokes all sessions that they're logged into so that they can't get access anymore, right? Within minutes. So that's what utilitize and Donna really is. And then, of course, what the self-healing IT is.
All right, that's great. I think I would like to talk like, what's your competitors looks like, and most maybe the traditional B2B SaaS, right? And how, whenever you go to enterprise, trust, like you said, one of the biggest factor. And if you heard yesterday that OpenAI model went crazy.
Happy
yeah, exactly, right. So how you put the trust and how you put the guardrail, because you are working on production systems, right?
Yeah.
So that is the trust, and definitely in this generative AI world, AI agentic world, the guardrail, how we put the guardrail. So how you guys taking care of that, and how you make that trustable to any enterprise?
Let's talk about this. Like, I think we can dig into software, and I don't know how much your audience will get technical, right? But the idea behind our guardrails, look, we integrate with enterprise technologies. So one of the things fundamentally that we decided that we weren't going to do, we weren't going to go build an RMM tool. We weren't going to draw an app onto your device. That is something that we would not do because there is security flaws in that. There's maintenance involved in that. There's R&D involved in that. Like, that is a procedure we are not going to do. What we will do is we'll work with the bigger names that are already doing that, right? So our partners are Microsoft. Our partners are Cisco. We're working with Google Workspaces now. Google's a partner. So what we did was we went to these enterprises and we learned from them what tools they already have in place that are already doing the security things, right? So therefore, when we pull data, when we pull logs, when we pull information from the devices and we push it, we're in that environment. So we're not actually looking at data. We're not pulling the actual information. We're just, being anything you would hand to an IT serviceman or IT services company, you basically hand to the system, and the system can then just do the troubleshooting, right? It has certain things, like each agent is the reality is it's a multi-agent system, and it allows, each agent has one role. It doesn't do multiple, like it's not like Claude or ChatGPT where you tell it to do something and it's going to do like 10 different things for you and then show you the production. What it actually does, each agent does only one thing. So there's a detection agent. Its job is only to detect issues. If it's in compliance, it doesn't do anything. If it's out of compliance, it then starts it and hands it over to the orchestration agent. Then it goes to a tools agent. Then it goes to a identity agent. Like, these are all different agents. The roles are defined very well. And the biggest thing that we do, so we have an advisor He's a PhD out of UCLA that specializes in statistics and inference. And he taught us how to deliver this code to code. The biggest problem most AI software has is that everybody converts to natural language because everything wants prompt. But the problem is natural language is not decisive, but code is. So all of our systems decipher everything into code. It goes into our own CUDA layer, and then it deploys the resolution via code. So therefore, it's very decisive. It doesn't hallucinate. It doesn't make changes. And then the verification part I told you is important. If any times it goes and hits a wall and says, hey, I can't figure this out, or we deploy the fix, and then we can't verify the fix, it escalates and says, hey, human, get involved. But again, you have to understand the issues that we're dealing with, level 1, level 1.5, these are run books that have been around for 20 years, dude. This is not new technology that we're dealing with. This is same old technology, same old tickets, same old password resets. Like, it's not rocket science, guys.
Yeah. So a little bit more into founder journey, right? So you've been in multiple phases, like you've been in development, 0 customers, and now you are having some ARR, and you're going through the funding, right? Give me that, how you face it out in your founder journey.
Thing is hard. There's no phasing. You have to do everything all at once. That's the founder mentality. Go do it all at once. And I'll tell you, yesterday I was at 2 customer calls, 1 existing customer, 1 new customer. Then I had a partnership call, and then at dinner I was at fundraising at dinner, like all in one day, right? It didn't matter. Like, it was just done. Like, I have to go back to back to back to back, and it's just trying to decipher and being the jack of all trades and being everywhere all at once. That's the founder way, right? Now, when you're above and beyond, that gets it. But always know that revenue solves all problems. That's something I learned at my last company.
Yeah.
That's what I'm learning here, is that as soon as you have revenue, the conversations change dramatically. When you have pipeline, conversations change dramatically. When you have users, it changes dramatically. So get to revenue, get to customer, or even get to users as fast as you can, right? And go to the ones that are easy, go to the ones that you know that can come on board, and then work way up. Right? Like, we didn't start with 1,000 user shops, right? We started with 40 user shops, 20 user shops, 30, 40 user shops. Then we added 100 user shops. And now we're attacking 1,000 user shops, right? So we evolved because we knew the platform had to evolve. And that's kind of the same story I tell people, is like, hey, go to where you go and just grow. But I don't know, I mean, the reality is it's all chaos at once.
Absolutely. So a little bit on to enterprise AI. I think you are tackling one side, like troubleshooting side, and overall enterprise AI. What do you think the enterprise are concerning about generative AI, and how do you think they navigate this? They need a huge budget for that, right? And it is a little bit black box at this point, right? They are worried about the trust, the governance. How do you think enterprise navigate that risk and get the ROI?
Look, I think so we, at my last company, we had a whole data and AI team, right? We basically added that department later on as the AI grew and the need grew. And we would ask CIOs, hey, what's your AI plan? I was at SKO, Sales Kickoff. We asked high-level CIOs of customers of ours, I'm talking about Fortune 500s, what's your AI strategy? The answer was, we don't have one. Right? There's about 5 facets of AI that people need to understand, right? One is the brain, right? These are your frontier models, your Kimi 31s, your Claudes, your Grok AI, your Open AI. These are all going to be frontier models. Call them your brain, right? And what's going to happen in that brain is they are going to evolve, and they're all going to get commoditized, right? Yeah. They're all very much the same in some variation. One is better than the other for certain things, but at the end of the day, they're becoming a commodity, right? So that becomes what happens in that space. Yeah. The other one is these wrappers that get built, right? So basically, there's a wrapper for everything now, right? Hey, I have financial billing, there's a wrapper for that, there's some software being built for that. And the decision has to be made, and then the decision has to be made at that point of saying, hey, which wrapper best fits my model, right? There's a lot of companies trying to do internal IT, enterprise level AI in the field, right? And the problem there is that nobody really has a solution, right? I was at a session with A&M the other day with the dean of AI, and he talked about that the AI is the least adapted technology in enterprise than any technology that's come out. Cloud, PC, networking, security, mobile OS, least adopted. Can you imagine that that's a real thing? And it's funny because I'm in rooms now and they're like, oh, we don't use ChatGPT. I'm like, huh? Like, that's mind-boggling, but I'm in a different world, right?
Yeah,
and they're in a different world.
Yeah.
And these are guys who are doing millions of dollars of revenue, right? They're not nobodies, but that's the world they're in. And then you have these private companies that, like the Chases of the world, the banks of the world, they're going to build their own LLMs. They're going to build it. They should do it. That's the way they should go. Where a majority of the business is going to go is to these enterprise companies today, right? If you look at Cisco did a big AI announcement. Microsoft continuously does AI announcements, right? What's going to happen is that the enterprise companies are going to basically say, hey, enterprise, Cisco, oh, they already adopted AI ops. Let me just refresh my system. And I'm AI already now, right? And that's the way it's always been, right? Some big manufacturer comes in, gets the credibility, and says, hey, we're going to do this. We're going to go to the cloud. We're going to go secure this for you. And they're like, okay, I don't get fired for buying Cisco. I don't get fired for buying Microsoft. So I trust you guys. I think that's where the money's going to go is these companies like us. And that's where I'm betting, right? I'm betting the same thing and saying, hey, look, your level 1 engineers are hard to get. They don't want to do the stuff they don't want to do the patching. They don't want to do this stuff. So let us elevate them to the next level. We'll augment that first level, and then you go to the next level, and then you can do more with less, faster, quicker, cheaper.
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing you mentioned, like this big enterprise, I know JP Morgan Chase is spending $20 billion in technology, and they are building their own AI center in, I think it's Ohio, right? They have campus. So that dedicatedly for AI infrastructure. So they are building their own infrastructure, right? And like you said, Microsoft Copilot, very frictionless entry for this big enterprise because they already have the relationship built, trust built.
Well, that's Microsoft's MO, right? Just give the product away and eventually they'll adapt and add the bill.
Exactly.
That's
so they bundle it, right? So they bundle it. So that's their biggest advantage they have. So even in our case, when we are going in financial services, right, the banks and any financial institutions, the enterprise level, these big banks, they already have their engineers budget and they are building by themselves. And it's a very friction entry for us, like a startup. But we are also targeting like mid-enterprise, mid-level, and the upper mid-level, right? So any of these layers, why their CIO, CEO, CTO think like, how did they decide, okay, should I build my own or should I go and adopt something out there, right? So not the big banks or the big enterprise levels, but that the middle layer, how they should take that call. Should I build or should I go and partner with someone else?
So I think you're looking at it differently. So being in enterprise sales and being in IT for so long, the decision actually doesn't sit with the CIO or the CTO or the VP of IT. The decision, the AI decision, the AI isn't a technology enabler, right? It's not a network, it's not a OS, it's not a device, right? So you have to think of it that way. The decision sits on the business owners, right? So the guy that's driving revenue, right? So in any business, right? Any business, any job that you have, and I teach this at U of H, there's only 2 roles, right? Top line revenue, drive it, or increase bottom line EBITDA. That's it. There's no any way you scratch the surface. Those are the two jobs you have, right? Yeah. So either you're helping top line or you're helping bottom line. That's it. So who's the decision maker that the AI solution is going to help? Is it a marketing AI that then helps the company drive revenue? Right. Then you're talking to marketing. You're talking to sales. You're talking to operations. Or is it cost efficiency? Are you trying to say, hey, I'm going to be more efficient for you, right? Then you're talking to operations. Then you're talking to transformative digital transformation or something like that, right? Or HR, I don't know, right? So those are the guys you're actually, the guy at the CIO and the VP at IT, that his job is to go implement it. That's his job, right? Even like hiring, people think, oh, you have to set up that. If you look at hiring, IT's job is to set up the task and the security policies and the access control. But who does the hiring? It's the department heads. Department heads does the hiring, HR facilitates it, and the IT delivers it. So you have to think of it that way. So if you're talking about like how do you go in and who do you make decisions to, you got to figure out what your value is, and who is the value for. Whose budget are you fighting for, right? Because at some point, every company has a limited amount of budget.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody has unlimited budget. So you have to figure out, okay, whose budget am I going to fight for? And then go attack that budget and say, hey, he's the guy who I have to convince. And then go that way versus, hey, I think because I'm technology, I feel like I'm a technology company, I got to go fight the technology guy. That's not the right answer. It's never going to be. No. The other part of your answer is, question was, I forgot.
So the one is like the decision, like when they should decide, like whether they build in-house or go for a partnership.
So you always build when IP is important, right? So somebody like JP Morgan, their IP is very important to them, right? So they'll go build. If you know, I remember when we were first doing at my last company, we were doing a lot of cloud, moving people to M365 cloud, right? Email. We're like, email is not important, right? Email is a commodity. It's secure. Everybody knows how to do it. Just move it to M365, save the server costs, save all this. You'll be better, and you get licensing. Believe it or not, I had 2 CIOs. I remember being at dinner with these guys, and they're like, "We will never move it to the cloud." I'm like, "You're stupid, right?"
Yeah.
Like, I'm telling you, they were adamant because they feel like that all their IP was sitting in an email exchange, and I'm like, "No, it's not. Like that, it's a commodity. You're costing your servers. You're wasting so much storage and servers." Having this on-prem, like, just move it. And eventually they had to move it. Well, he's no longer there, but.
Yeah, I think I remember like even in a JP, like we had phases like all on-prem, then it's a hybrid, right? Then fully cloud, then back to hybrid. So it's a full circle that we are going through.
Yeah, you're gonna see the same thing with AI.
Yeah.
AI is gonna do the same thing. You're gonna go full on cloud, which is what we're doing today, right?
Yeah.
All these LM models. Then you're gonna have the people come on-prem, and then you're gonna find a hybrid. It's eventually gonna be hybrid, right? I think IP-related LLMs will come on-prem. They'll be open sourced. You'll have the cloud versions for the general, like, hey, I need the teams to do general specialty stuff.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to ask this question as well. Like, what do you think enterprise currently overestimating in AI, and where they are underestimating it?
I'll tell you 2 things, right? One is follow the market, right? First, everybody was investing in frontier models, right? So if you looked at Q1's investments of startups, 65% of that went to the big models. Right? OpenAI, Claude, that's where all the investment went, right? That's why us startups didn't get a lot of money.
Yeah.
So now they're all moving into infrastructure. So if you're seeing that, hey, now they're not investing in the models, they're investing in the chips and the infrastructure and the powers and all that stuff, right? Those are all where they're going. Storage is a huge memory, all these prices are jumping up. Yeah. So I think follow the market is one. I think you'll start seeing that infrastructure will play a big role, right? The other part of it is I think the problem becomes is that everybody's trying so hard to understand where AI is today and where it's moving towards, and people forget what's the capability of it, right? So if people need to understand how AI actually works, right? What is the black box? What is neural engines? Go back to the basics of how, go read the Google paper, right? Everything kicked off, if you don't know, there was a very famous Google paper that kind of kicked off this LLM era. Yeah. And if you go read the paper and you understand how the models were built, then you understand what they're capable of doing in the future, right? And I think the ones that are gonna win are the ones that can say, hey, here's where we are today. 10 steps from now, the level 10 of the game is gonna be this. So can I prepare myself for level 10 instead of preparing for level 3 where I'm at right now, right? Yeah. So can I go get to level 10, or can I plan for level 10 and slowly get there versus go to level 3? And what'll happen is you'll get a company like Chug, who just literally got wiped out by AI, right? Yeah. I don't know if you heard of that, right? Chug was a learning platform for students. People would subscribe. They would get the database of all this math and science and school stuff. And now kids can just ask ChatGPT, and the Chug company just got wiped out literally by AI. Yeah. Right? So they weren't ready. They weren't planning.
But lastly, I want to ask you something like, how do you see the future of AI in a general, how it affect the mankind and the enterprise, and what do you think the future of AI?
Look, we are at the cusp of one of the most impactful moments in life, right? We're in tech, so we think very focused. But I've had conversations in healthcare and life sciences where I've met a gentleman that his life goal now is to cure diseases, right? DNA has been mapped. There's O's and ones, zeros and ones of DNA now. You can use large language models to figure out like where is the, where is that one chromosome that creates Alzheimer's? Can I go turn it off, right? Like it's getting to there, right? So there's two things there, right? One is if you can fathom it right now, you can build it. You just have to know that it exists, and you can figure out the rest, that roadmap to how to get there, and you don't have to be anywhere to do it. It could be some small kid in a town, in a village somewhere that has access to internet. Like that guy can do this.
Okay, do it. Yeah.
So it's amazing, right? And the world is so vast and so big, and we're just gonna see how big it gets, right? Data centers in space, that's a thing. Life in other planets, that could be a thing. Like, I don't know if you've seen the Hail Mary project. That's that's a whole different world. But like, it is an amazing time. It's amazing for founders because anybody can be a founder if they put their mind to it. But everybody doesn't need to be a founder. Go join a great team.
Yeah.
Go join a great company. Right? People are doing amazing things. Go be a part of that. Learn. We've got some good interns today that have joined us. We've got some guys that are joining our team that are amazing. Like they're coming up with some crazy stuff. Just go play, go have fun.
Go have fun. I think I also see like the energy and the biotech and the AI-powered robotics and space that can change how we live in another 30, 50 years, right? Okay. I would love to continue this discussion, but we have to end it now. Salim, thanks for coming. It's been
pleasure.
A wonderful conversation, and I always lean to you whenever I have some problems. I always bug you. Okay, can we meet and discuss? Thank you for all those conversations, and I know you are actually pretty involved in the community as well. So thanks for everything you are doing, and good luck.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you very much.